How about for those who are watching that, they feel that they've got a good handle on what they're already doing, what they've currently automated, but they want to do more. How do they find new opportunities? And you alluded to kind of some of the discovery tools before, right?
Yeah. So there are a few approaches, and each one has its pros and cons. And naturally, the more tools you use, the more value you would see. One is that as part of establishing the COE, you start establishing also a business analysis practice, right? And you start training your internal resources on automation, on business analysis and discovery. And more than that, we offer, and not only we, a lot of the RPA vendors out there offer what we call the trial version. It's also known as a citizen developer. Now, it should not be mistaken that a citizen developer, meaning that anyone in the organization can build and launch automation to production. The idea is with a couple of hours online course and a free of charge software, anyone in the organization who is savvy enough can play with the automation and come with an idea. And you create a portal for the entire team or the entire landscape of employees to offer ideas for automation. And once people are educated about automation, they execute the work. They know best how automation can bring value, and they are doing the brainstorming. And you start doing competitions, and we have some customers who are very advanced in having a portal where you submit automation ideas. And if it
Right.
actually automated, you win a prize and so on. So this is one great way to scale. By building a business analysis practice, by having a network of citizen developers, by leveraging the free trial the a free robot that is being offered by the vendors, having a platform to offer ideas, test them, and eventually, still the COE builds it, but that's kind of a very powerful way. The second way is going very traditional, right? Let's do discovery. Let's bring in a partner, usually the high-end partners, the consulting partners of the world, right? We use usually Accenture or Deloitte or ISG to come in and deep dive and analyze your landscape and create the business case. It's a very robust way, but it takes time and it has cost. These consulting services not necessarily come for free. But this is also an effective way to find a roadmap to scale. And the third way is, I mentioned it before, is what we call the automation finder, which comes embedded as part of our attended automation solution. There's no additional cost. It's not a process mining tool that you need to pay on top of. Our task mining capability, the automation finder, is inclusive in the NEVA license. And every NEVA, every smart NEVA, advanced NEVA, is also monitoring the screen, sending the data to the finder server to run the algorithm and so on. And again, standalone, it means nothing. But if you combine it with a relevant business analysis, either internal from the COE or with a consulting partner, you can have a very good visibility into which processes are executed, what is the volume, what are the automation opportunities, and kind of build the business case on facts versus interviews or guesses and so on.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. Oded, let's talk a little bit about the employee side, right? One of the challenges within organizations is always getting employees to embrace change, to embrace new technology. How does attended RPA help with really the acceptance of RPA?
So again, few aspects to that. I touched before around the investment upfront and the change management and scale. This is exactly hitting that nerve, right? If you don't invest in change management, there will be automation anxiety. People will be, the robots are here to take our jobs. There will be pushback. If you do the right change management and invest in automation, change management, and invest on the value, then you'll have the desired results and the right adoption. Again, citizen developers having ideation sessions, education, have people know what it is to reduce the anxiety, explain that this is here to boost performance, to empower. We are just, we have launched a campaign called NEVA as a personal assistant, right? Right? You have NEVA, your personal assistant just for work. So you have Siri or Google for your phone, you have Alexa for your home, you have NEVA for work. It's not an RPA robot, right? Well, it is, but from a perception standpoint, from a change management standpoint, this is why we named her. This is why we added a face to reduce that anxiety. This is not something that's here to take your job. This is your personal assistant. It's a virtual assistant to empower and boost. She would run the repetitive and mundane tasks. She would automate that for you, and you will be free to do other stuff. Exactly like you no longer go online and search for the weather, you ask Siri, what's the weather, right? You're not afraid that Siri is there to replace weathermen across the world. She's just making it more accessible. It's the same concept. Neva would do in your work the repeatable, mundane work. She would give you guidance in real time, contextual guidance. She would automate stuff on your screen to let you focus on processing a claim, making a decision on a mortgage, providing great customer service, whatever you need to do. If you have an attended robot, it's better. This message needs to be cascaded through true change management.
Yeah, I agree. You know, a lot of employees are, of course, working from home right now, and we're hearing a lot of companies saying that they won't go back to the traditional office for either a long time or even at all in some situations, right? So are you guys, how are you guys handling that, and how does that affect the attended RPA benefits?
So I think it definitely accelerated the value and the realization of what attended can bring. Naturally, like the entire market, every conversation is now harder, and attended automation is still relatively new. So it's harder to engage with customers and explain to them the value. It's still considered, wait a minute, you know, I have so much on my plate with this work from home conundrum. I'll speak to you about attended automation next year. But either existing customers or more advanced customers, when I say advanced, I mean they're thinking on automation, when they get it, they immediately see the value. And then there is the other aspect of customers who are reaching out to us and say, I have so many new challenges with work from home. How can you help? Or how can you help with these challenges? And I won't keep it that high level. I'll give a few examples. For example, the swivel chair aspect. What is a swivel chair aspect? This is, by the way, I'm directly quoting head of strategy in one of the big telcos in the UK that reached out to us to help with this. He said, well, you know, in my operation, it's cubicles, right? Front office, back office, people sit in cubicles. It's an open space, and they do whatever transactional work. When they have a question, what they do, they swivel the chair. They ask someone next. When someone next doesn't know, they swivel the other way, and the supervisor is over there, and they speak a little bit louder and ask the supervisor what to do. When I swivel the chair, I see my wall, right? If I swivel the other way, I'll see my wife. When you work from home, you don't see anyone. Yeah. How do you swivel the chair? How do you get these interactions and engagement? Naturally, if you have a virtual assistant there to provide you the guidance, the process guidance you need, that helps with that issue. What is called daily huddles or stand-ups. Again, if you think of the operations that buy RPA, that enjoys RPA, either shared service, a back office, or customer service, right? They work in teams, 10, 12, 18, if they have a really good span of control, all right? And a supervisor, a team lead, a coach, whatever you want to call him. Each one have a different name. Each of these organizations, you go in the morning, the beginning of the shift, you see that team lead surrounded by the 12 guys, and he gives them daily updates. These are the promotions we sell today. These are the new regulation. You need to do this training. Pay attention. We got a low NPS score on this. Do this, do that. A daily update. Now, how do you do that? In a work from home environment that everyone starts on a different time and people are more flexible. So we created a Neva process that the team lead comes in the morning, he types in the whatever updates he wants to do, he publishes them. And that moment, anyone from his team, the moment they open their computer, Neva pops up with the daily updates, just keeping the engagement and keeping them attached. Work from home, the funny stuff is that it started very euphoric, right? All my customers, and I think all the market, they were so excited about the first 2-3 months. Look, in March, COVID hit, And in a week, in a weekend, in a day, we converted our entire operation to work from home. It's so great. It works so great. Yes, the first month or two worked very, very good. A, because we were not aware of the problems. B, because we were so euphoric. And C, because employees were willing to work hard. They were afraid for their job. There was a lot of uncertainty. I should be grateful I'm not fired in this environment. I should work very hard from home. And everything worked. After the 3 months, as you said, it became the new normal. The new normal became with new normal challenges. The euphoria went down, the challenges rose up. And only with attended automation, well, not only the other solution, we do that. And we haven't even started about the capability, unique capability that attended brings you, which is employee monitoring, right? You no longer have a supervisor looking. You can program or you can ask the robot to aggregate data to run the monitoring for you. It doesn't fit every organization. Some of it think of it as Big Brother. It's not the default of the product, but we have more than one customer who came in and said, I want to know how much time my work from home employees are using CRM, are connected. I mean, I need the application monitoring data to understand productivity, whether they just open the computer, they're idle, and they're watching Netflix on their tablet because no one knows. So we're kind of the monitoring aspect of that. By the way, don't be afraid of the Big Brother. We just signed with a very large customer in a highly unionized country in Europe, in France. Over there, you cannot monitor employees. The unions won't allow it. No way. All of a sudden, the unions came and said, we want to monitor the work hours and the connection. Why? Because when you work from the office, you come in the morning, you sign a card, you go out, you sign a card, you work for 7 hours. The moment you work from home, there is a risk that your employee would work you more hours. Will tell you if you don't invest more hours, you will be fired. And no one knows that because you're not physically in the office. So actually, we're providing that as part of making sure that if the employee worked more, he's being paid overtime. So the unions request that. Now, it's not for productivity, it's for time of work, but still. So even just the ability to monitor employee became relevant with attended automation.
And I love stories like that, right? Because one of the positive things that's come out of all of this is people having to think about things differently and find new innovations, right? And so, I love hearing stories like that where you say, hey, something that you thought was going to be a negative actually turned into a positive, and different stakeholders found different purposes of it. And I think those are some of the good things to emerge out of all of this. Oded, last question before we jump. I just want to give you a quick opportunity to pitch NICE directly, right? So, and maybe you could do it within the context of, how do you see yourselves different from some of the other vendors, and how easy is it to get started if somebody watching here wants to do so?
All right. So I think first we touched on a lot of the differences and differentiators during the conversation, right? Our attended automation capability, which is by far the leading in the market. We do RPA best. We do RPA as well as the next guys. We're ranked as leader product-wise on every report you would look at. But for attended, we are solely the global market attended leader with no competition. And as the market mature, this is where you need to go. And when you add to that the discovery capability, the AI capability, the integration portfolio, I spoke about real-time speech and all the smart stuff that we're doing, naturally there's a huge advantage of using NICE. When you think that we're the only vendor in the market with an all-inclusive approach, you don't pay extra for anything. We don't charge for that. You don't pay separately for a developer license and a server license and a process discovery tool, and everything is embedded within the NEVA cost. You buy attended automation, you get everything in it, and you have a clear TCO. It's a differentiator. And the reason we can do that, and this is the only thing we haven't discussed, is NICE as a company, not NICE as an RPA vendor. NICE is an enterprise software portfolio company. We have finished 2019 with $1.6 billion in revenue and $400 million in profits, net profit. We're not dependent on venture capital cash. When I need to grow my business, I go to my CEO, I get a budget. We have over $1 billion of liquidity, which we think will be used for acquisitions. But if God forbid a recession hits, we can fund our activity for years to come easily, versus most of the automation market, which is small startups doing only automation, dependent on hyper venture capital growth, and you don't know what's going to happen in 2-3 years, if the recession come, if the investment's not going to come, if the IPO is not going to be successful, and so on. NICE give you financial stability that this year have proved to be the smartest choice.
Great. Well, it's a great story, Oded, and thank you for being here. And for those watching, Oded and NICE will be chairing our special interest group on attended automation. So we'll have additional resources and assets for you, as well as the ability to speak to some of our subject matter experts if you need some more help or information. But in the meantime, Oded, thanks for being here, and we'll see you
Absolutely.
soon.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye now.